Self-development is dead. You heard me correctly. Self-development is dead, plain and simple. And rather than disputing or denying this fact, I want to commence today's congregation not in the spirit of a funeral, but rather in the spirit of a celebration of life. This is a celebration of life for all of the good that self-development and the self-development community has done, not only on the internet, but in the lives of people, the personal lives of people, myself included. And before I explain how and why self-development died, I want to deliver my own personal eulogy for how self-development brought me life and helped me elevate and expand all aspects of myself. There was never really a particular point where I learned that self-development was a thing. It was kind of innately embedded within me to take action to improve my life and, at a deeper level, myself. This started at a very early age. I started meditating in particular when I was around 10 or 11 years old. My dad put me onto meditation and spirituality as a whole, and that was my introduction into the self-development space. That continued on and off for the next 6 years or so. And when I was 17 years old, I came across working out. Now, obviously, I had sporadically worked out prior to that, but at 17, that's when I got my first gym membership, and I decided that I was going to commit wholeheartedly to fitness. And since then, I have put on roughly 30 to 40 pounds of primarily muscle mass. Now, everything was all tied together. All of these self-development habits that I accumulated throughout the years were all tied together by one practice, and that was NoFap. My introduction to NoFap came from my friend, Levi Rose. Shout out to him. If you're watching this, thank you, because not only did you change my life in terms of the implementation of NoFap in and of itself, but also with how I was able to elevate and expand my brand with NoFap as the foundational practice for my self-development channel. That being said, I found out about NoFap at 20 years old, the ripe age of 20 years old. At the time, I was a full-blown addict. Every single day, I was getting off. And my friend told me about NoFap. He told me that not only would it help me to build more muscle mass, like I said, I was already in the gym, but it would also help me expand my horizons creatively. I jumped at the opportunity. I went 2 weeks on NoFap and then I failed. And from there on in, I went 9 months on NoFap. And after 30 days of doing NoFap, I went ahead and documented the benefits of doing NoFap for 30 days. And from there on in, a young YouTube star was born, Jordan Green. I was reborn into the version of me that many of you came to know and love. But truth be told, you didn't just love me, you loved self-development, and that was what tied us all together. And I believe that the time that I came up into the self-development community, with my window being NoFap in particular, and later on skincare, which I'll talk about in a second, that was the beginning of a beautiful chapter in the history of the internet, one which will never be forgotten, if by no one else, at least by me. I will never forget that chapter because it changed my life personally. Now, all of that being said, the self-development community is more or less dead. The self-development community is dead, but it's still very much alive, not only in our hearts, but in our lives. Okay, at least for me. I can't speak for everyone watching this, can't speak for you, but for me, self-development is still very much alive in my personal life. I am still in the recovering stages of multiple relapses with NoFap, which I will be talking more about in a video in the near future. But as far as everything else, from working out to meditating, taking cold showers, eating healthy, and skincare, I've been able to stay consistent for the better part of these last 3 or 4 years. I have done all of these things day in and day out, and the results speak for themselves. You guys see the glow. Okay, you guys see the glow. I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm saying that as a matter of fact. I worked for this glow. And the best way to achieve this glow, in my experience, is by implementing a solid and consistent skincare routine. And that brings me to Tej Hanley, the sponsor of today's video. Tej Hanley helps men start and maintain a skincare routine by simplifying the entire process. Honestly, it's the best skincare system for guys like you and me. I recommend that you start with their level 1 skincare system, which comes with all of the basics. A daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. A 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun. And a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. My favorite part about Tej Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much of each product to use, and in what order to use each product. They really make the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin easy. Their products have made my skin look and feel better than ever, but you don't just have to take my word for it, because they have over 7,000 5-star reviews on their website from satisfied customers from all around the globe. In addition to amazing skin, members of Tej Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your own box, exclusive monthly deals, the ability to pause or cancel at any time, and free US shipping. And because Tej Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers, which is you guys, an amazing deal. Just click the first link in the description or the pinned comment of this video and get 30% off your first box and a free gift. The free gift being the Tej Hanley towel and the Tej Hanley dot bag. I especially make great and extensive use of this dot bag in my day-to-day skincare routine and my day-to-day grooming routine as a whole. Just click the first link down below and get started today. Now that I've delivered this heartfelt eulogy on self-development and in particular the self-development community, I want to explain why not only this has happened, but this was always inevitable. This was the inevitable outcome of the self-development community. As I explained earlier, I have been consistently applying these practices day in and day out to improve my life, and the results speak for themselves. The key word there being consistent. I have been consistently doing this because that is the nature of self-development. Self-development is about discipline, and discipline is about consistently doing the same things or a progression of the same thing on a day-to-day basis. This right here is the reason why the self-development community was always doomed from the start. Creating the same content over and over and over again gets very, very tiring, very old, very quickly, and there's only so much you can do with the content. For example, with fitness, there's only so much you can do to make fitness videos better or to change up what you're doing, because ultimately what you do, the essence of the video doesn't change. It's how you present the video. But over time, even if you're changing up the style with the editing or changing up the pacing of the video, it's still the same video. The essence is still always going to be the same. The core message is always going to be the same. And this is why self-development was doomed from the start. I made a video a while back explaining why you should not be a self-development creator if you wanted to create a long-lasting brand, especially one that was primarily rooted in self-development. It's a dead end, it's a trap, but it's also a very fulfilling trap. And it's one that I have absolutely no regrets over having fallen into. Now, like I said earlier, self-development has a lot of nuance, but unfortunately, the community oftentimes fails to see this. And this is the next reason why self-development as a community and as a niche is dying out very, very rapidly. Not only is it highly repetitive, but it's also, generally speaking, presented in a black and white way. And in many respects, it is black and white. You either do the practices or you don't. You're either on NoFap or you're not. You're either working out or you're not. However, what I found is that oftentimes people follow the same general format and template for self-development, and they lose themselves in this process. Something that I've said extensively in the past was that self-development is comprised of 2 aspects. There's the development aspect, which is obviously just practicing the practices every single day or on a consistent basis. And then there's the self aspect, which a lot of people seem to lose sight of on their journeys. They lose sight of who they are. And of course, there's a certain level of expansion beyond yourself that must take place in order for you to evolve. But at the same time, you have to remember your foundation and the essence of who you are. For example, A lot of times in the self-development community, video games are demonized. But there might be some people out there, maybe even you, who should be playing video games because perhaps video games are a part of your self-development. Video games may allow you to assess certain patterns within yourself with very little risk because the consequences are digital. They're not real. And in addition to that, some people might be well suited to actually play video games for a living. That might actually be a fundamental aspect of your purpose. But if you're thinking that playing video games instead of working out is a waste of your time, you're going to miss that. I'm not saying that everyone should be playing video games all the time. I know for myself personally that that's not a part of my purpose. But for you, it might be, and you have to respect that. You have to honor that. You have to understand that your purpose may not align with the traditional aspects of self-development, but because of the way that creators, including myself in the past, oftentimes present the content and present the principles of self-development, people think that self-development is black and white. They don't see the nuance in it. They don't see how it's entirely subjective. It's an entirely subjective process, hence self-development, not just development. You need to start thinking for yourself if you want to be able to sustain your self-development journey. What I realized was that although everyone thought that I should continue to make the workout videos and the videos about physical appearance, I realized that that's not fulfilling for me. I've already peeled back that layer of purpose and now I'm on to the next thing, which is more writing focused. And perhaps there might come a time when I need to dive into the physical appearance even deeper. And if that time comes, then I'll do it with little to no hesitation. But you need to understand the nuance of your self-development journey. Something that I've said in the past is that progression in the wrong direction is regression. You are regressing. If you're out here trying to be a bodybuilder, but you don't actually want to be in the fitness industry, you are wasting your time. You need to focus on being healthy and having a body that you're generally proud of, but not making that the foundation of your life. This is something that I myself struggled with recently. I was out here trying to bulk, and then I had to take a step back and realize that, wait a minute, I'm not trying to be a personal trainer. I don't want to have a fitness page. I'm not even passionate about fitness. So why am I out here eating all of these extra calories, putting in these extra reps, when I could be spending that time putting in reps where they actually matter? Again, you have to understand yourself to understand which direction you should develop in. Now, another reason why I believe the self-development community has died out is because of a phenomenon known as, and I'm going to go ahead and read this off my phone so that I don't butcher this word, zeitgeist. The general idea behind zeitgeist is that it's a collective stream of consciousness flowing in a certain direction, meaning that multiple people or a large group of people in a particular period of time are all moving in a very similar direction. Self-development was a perfect example of this. 2020 quarantine was when self-development really began to take off. Incidentally, this is also when my channel and my brand became established in the self-development world. I was one of the, I won't say pioneers, but I was one of the prominent figures in the space because the collective consciousness was lending itself to that sort of content. And what I've realized is that in a paradoxical twist of fate, this phenomena allowed me to ascend to a certain level of success, but it also guaranteed that I would fall from that level of success because ultimately it's a stream of consciousness which will only flow for that particular period of time. Because we're no longer in quarantine and we're almost fully reacclimated to regular life, we still have the imprint of self-development, but people don't necessarily need the content as much as they did before. I can personally attest to this phenomena from the perspective of the consumer as well. There are YouTube channels that I used to watch very heavily back in early to mid 2020, where I would watch every single one of their videos. They're posting daily. I'm watching all of their videos. And now I just don't watch them anymore. It doesn't mean that their content got any worse. It doesn't mean that they're providing any less value. It's just that their content actually worked. I've said this in the past, but the mark of an effective and successful self-development creator is when people no longer need their videos. And I'm fully comfortable and confident in saying that I have largely reached that point in my career.